get the ladies on the bar record for Gergino.
Okay, so I am back from the IPF World Championships in Sweden. It's been a little bit over a week, and hopefully I've been able to digest things and I'll be able to articulate the way that I feel in a way that everybody can understand, and then I'll just be able to say things in a cohesive manner. So I'm going to go through the lifts, and then I'll come back around to basically the things that I want to change and address moving forward so that I can actually be a better powerlifter. But first off, I am not satisfied with my performance. I don't know that disappointed is definitely the right word. It was a really, really good experience to be able to go over to Sweden and compete on that level. The World Championships is, I think I underrated how cool of an experience that it is. I think when people have mentioned to me that they saw on the live stream that it kind of felt, vanilla, just kind of tame, especially compared to what Raw Nationals is usually like. And I agree with that, but it's amazing how when you're there and just the setup and the environment really, really feels like a world championship, where Raw Nationals is starting to feel more and more like the Arnold, which is a cool thing. I mean, it's excited. There's definitely some hype involved with that. And being able to lift with all of the other American lifters that we really know and we're familiar with is a really cool thing. But to counter that, having this environment that's a lot more, clinical maybe, but to have, the best lifter from all these different countries is a really cool thing to be a part of. And I was surprisingly nervous when I got out there, and I don't really feel super nervous very often. So it was a cool thing to experience that firsthand, obviously, rather than just through the live stream. So I think people underestimate how that environment can be really cool. As far as my performance itself, I'm frustrated specifically with my squatting. And so to get into that one, my squat training over the last few months specifically has been very good. I've come back from what was an injury at the beginning of the year, and I'm to the point now where there's no way that I can look at my performance and say that there was any sort of carryover from that injury in what I was doing. It was 100% just what was happening in the last little bit of time. So my squatting was good in training. And then I got to the competition expecting to be able to hit a big PR over what I've hit in training. At Raw Nationals, I squatted 292. I think my best squat in the month leading up to Raw Nationals was 290, which I was disappointed with the way that I was squatting at that point. But I was able to match my best squat at that point. So I squatted 300 fairly easily, not super easily, but I was expecting to be able to squat something 300, 305 at this meet, which would put me definitely in the running for first place. But that just did not happen. So my opener, 277, felt fine. Went up to 290, and it was an absolute grind. So I'm happy that I got all white lights on all those lifts. In the moment, that moment on that second squat, I was just praying that was going to be a good lift, because if I had to retake that would have been an interesting scenario. So scratch my third, because we knew that the 2.5, 5 kilos that maybe I was capable of getting on a third was going to probably be too much more energy than what I would have had to be able to deadlift well at the end. So we scratched my third, which I still don't really have any regrets about. I regret not squatting better at the very beginning. So bench press has been one that I've consistently peaked well for. If I compare my meet numbers compared to my training numbers, I've almost always PR'd. I've always matched what I've done in training, and oftentimes I hit PRs in meets, which I think is kind of uncommon. And this meet again, I actually felt pretty good. So 180 was my opener, and it felt better. I'd say better than any other time that I've hit it in training. And the same is true with my next two attempts. But kind of the same scenario is that my openers felt really good, and then as I got up into that last, maybe 2, 3, 5%, whatever, it just didn't really feel like I was all the way there. So in this case, they actually felt better than they looked. I was totally confident the whole time that I was going to get them. They looked fairly slow on the camera, but they really felt okay, and I think I probably would have been capable of 2.5 more, which would have been a PR. But I'm not upset with just matching it in that context, especially after feeling how bad my squats, how strength-wise, how they felt. So at that point, we're still in the running with deadlifts, and I knew it was going to take a miss from Anatoly to give me, Anatoly, the Ukrainian lifter who won, it was going to take a miss for him for me to be able to have a shot at first place there, and it was going to take a big deadlift for me to be able to overcome Gustav in second. But there were people behind me, and I had to make lifts in order to not fall back there. So warm-ups felt okay. I've definitely felt better in warm-ups. Basically after my last warm-up was 320 or 705. Really, they all felt pretty much the same, which normally those lighter ones feel effortless. So it was almost encouraging to have like 320, 340, 352 feel very, very similar. So when it came down to it, and I had to make that 15 kilo jump from my second to my third, going up to 810, 367.5 kilos, which would have been a 12 kilo PR over anything I've done in a meet. I going into it, I really don't know that I believed that I was going to get it. So hindsight, I wish I would have been ready to do a little bit more work and fight a little bit harder for that lift. But I think I can be still pretty proud of being potentially capable of an 800 plus pound pull on a day that looked like I was only at 90, 95% capacity. So in that context, I'm pleased with my progression as far as just being able to get stronger. But my frustration is my execution of actually me being a power lifter. And that's 100% what I need to get better at. So as far as the changes that I want to make and basically the things that I went wrong, the first thing as far as what caused me to feel bad on the day, and this is something that I kind of touched on earlier in the video, but the whole environment of traveling to Sweden, a 10-hour plane ride and 7-hour time change and all those things, staying in a hotel for the week, and just everything that goes into being in a foreign country, and nutrition and all of that are things that I maybe underrated in a way of how much, if we're talking about the 5% difference that it takes to be with what I was lacking on that day, I think those are things that definitely had an impact. The 93 session, we started at 8 a.m., so that meant a 6 o'clock weigh-in. That means waking up at 4:30 to make sure that I'm at weight and that everything is good there, which kind of factored into not really almost no sleep the night before. But those are the same conditions that everybody else had in that context. Anatoly won having the same conditions that I did. And the other thing is that when I'm looking at my performance and then seeing guys like Taylor Atwood and Russell Orhe just have these incredible performances going through those same situations that I did, I think that just illustrates basically how good those two guys are and the things that I need to improve on. I've gotten stronger, but putting up the same total for the last year, squatting the same weight for the last year and a half, I mean, it's almost unexcusable as far as me being a better power lifter. So more credit to those guys. I really don't think that they everybody was excited for them, but I think it should be doing it at a local meet or even doing it at Raw Nationals is not nearly as impressive to me now, knowing and experiencing what I know, that they were able to travel all the way over there. I think Taylor also lifted at 9 o'clock in the morning. So those things are incredible for them as athletes to be able to put those performances on that stage. That's truly world class, and those guys deserve a lot of credit. So that's something that I needed to be better about. So while there were things that affected my physical performance and the way that I felt, it affected everybody else, and there were definitely people that overcame that better than me. So that's the first thing, is that just being able to experience those situations will pay off down the road and hopefully lead to better performances and be able to anticipate and overcome those things. Secondly, I'm hiring a coach. So this has been something that I've held off on for a long time. I've really enjoyed writing my own training. I really like that process. I like the thought process and being involved with it. But now I think I've now that I work with more people and been grown as a coach, I think I definitely see that I do a better job of being much more objective with other people than I do myself. I see myself doing the same things I've always done, kind of time after time, right? And that other people, when I'm writing training for them, I'm much more willing to deviate from the things we've been doing, much more willing to take risks. If I think something will work, I'm pretty willing to try things that are maybe outside the box a little bit. With myself, I tend to not really go in either direction. I don't really I don't get risky enough. I don't stick to some of the things I want to do. I kind of gravitate back to the things I've always done, which has led to fairly steady progress. But I don't see that as a strength of mine anymore, that I've been able to be objective enough with my training. So I'm going to be hiring Mike Tushir from Reactive Training Systems, the head of Reactive Training Systems, and he's been a huge influence on my education through this whole time. And I'm really, really excited to be involved with him, to be able to learn as a coach to get better, and then obviously to have somebody that can drive me to be a better athlete. So going to be starting with him in the next week or so. So that'll be something that I'm excited about, even involving that with the YouTube channel and being able to keep people involved in basically my experiences with coaching. And that'll be exciting, rather than me just imparting the things that I know. It'll be me speaking as a coach and somebody being coached, which I think can be an interesting tool for this context here. But past that, I'm going up a weight class. I'm going to commit to going up to 105. So there's not much time in between now and Raw Nationals, and I'm still pretty light. I still weigh 210 pounds. So I'm not going to force getting much bigger in the next few months. Hopefully I'll weigh 215, 220 by the time Raw Nationals comes around. But the main objective will be to be very competitive next year's Raw Nationals. So this time around, I'm going to try to put up the best total I possibly can, and I'm not even sure if my current total will put me on the primetime, the primetime stage, but hopefully I'll be able to podium from out of primetime and still have a really good performance there. But next year's Raw Nationals is really when I'll be looking to be able to contend. So I think at this point, just looking, not necessarily this meet specifically, but this meet in the context of a lot of other meets, is that I know I've gotten a whole lot better, but there's things lacking that I could do better if I want to be in the same conversation as guys like Russell and Taylor, as far as how good of an actual power lifter I am. So this one was the one that was kind of the breaking point, that I said that these changes that I've considered making off and on are actually time to happen. So going up weight class, hiring our coach, lots of things that I'm excited about for really moving forward. So if anything that I want people to take away from my experience and my performance here is maybe a combination of what the two guys I've mentioned have done, and then what I've done, is that we've all of us at this very high level, at the national level, world level, we have these bad performances. Russell said in his recap video that last year's Worlds for him, I think he totaled 770, got second place, way behind Brett. And I think he said at that point that he was never going to let himself embarrass himself like that again. While people watching him probably didn't feel like he embarrassed himself, but as an athlete, we hold ourselves to those really high standards. And at this point, he put 60 kilos on his total. He's now the world champ, world record holder, squat world record holder, all of that, right? So everybody has these really bad performances, and it's something that I want new people to be able to look at. If you're afraid of signing up for your first meet because you're afraid it won't go very well, it happens to all of us. But what separates somebody who we view as the best in the world and somebody who nobody knows who they are is when they have that bad meet, what do they do in the next year? And so that's what I'm looking at doing. I'm looking at turning something around to where in the next year I can create something that I can be very, very proud of, the way that I adjusted to some changes that I made. So if you're looking at getting going, don't let the fear of having one bad performance hold you back. I think you should be more afraid that you'll have a bad performance and just quit. Like that's a legitimate fear, and I think that's something that everybody needs to be able to overcome. So if you're afraid of one bad meet and that's gonna wreck your whole mindset about the whole thing, then that's you're never going to make it very far anyway. But being able to put yourself in that position and have the bad experience and then be able to move forward and create new good experiences, those are the things that'll really, really make you good. So challenge your boundaries, and you'll see that you can get yourself much further than you thought. I mean, my own personal experience was 2 Raw Nationals ago, I bombed out. And from that year, I went from the bomb out 1 year later to winning the thing. So I'm looking at this being the same scenario, is that it's a performance I'm not very thrilled with, but if I can turn the next year into something I'm very proud of, then next year's Raw Nationals will be again something, a place where hopefully I'm contending for the win. So thanks a lot for everybody's support. Heading into this competition, it was overwhelming how much positivity and how much support there was, how many people were really rooting for me to do really, really well. So I'm happy I got to experience all that, and I'm looking forward to pushing myself to get to experience that again. So I really appreciate it from each and every one of you. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to get back to regular videos. So we'll see you next time.